Hey, welcome to Creative for More, the podcast. Over here, our conversations are centered around birthing the more that exists within you. We help you mine your originality, live more resiliently, and leverage all of your experiences so that you can serve the world as the highest expression of yourself. My guests will challenge your thinking and give you practical insights for being more, doing more, and having more. My name is Tonbra, and I am your host. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome. Welcome to today's special More Insights segment of Created for More, the podcast. So if you're new around here, you won't know, rather, that I do a special solo session ever so often. Sometimes every 3 weeks, sometimes a little more than that. But this is really a session where I get to share my heart, something on my heart, a burning item that I want to just kind of explain or elaborate on. And it's kind of like our heart-to-heart connection time, right? So today I am going to be speaking to you about success. Specifically what success is. What are some principles that underpin success? Because I know when we talk about success, everyone kind of feels like, yes, now I know what it is and da-da-da-da. But today I thought, let us actually deconstruct the word so that we will know if really and truly, the endeavors that we're currently engaged in are either already entrenched in success or are well on their way towards that successful end point. I want to start here. I want to start by, what my definition of success is. Not now, but my definition of success, when I was a child. I remember, I used to be this super ambitious young girl. I still am in some respect, but not nearly as ambitious as I was when I was young. I would just have these massive dreams and visions of the future. I would just always be saying to myself, when I grow up, I'm just going to be super successful. And guess what? Everything that I could see within that my definition of success was just money. I'll be able to buy anything I wanted in the world. I'll be able to do this, fly here, fly that. And that for me was the totality of what success meant. Like, you can't be successful unless you're super rich, super influential, and just you're living this abundantly lavish lifestyle where people are just almost serving you hand and foot. That was my definition of success. In fact, I even had the company. I had the company name. I said, name of my company when I grow up is going to be Plans Incorporated. And for my siblings who are, any of my siblings listening to this, that will sound familiar. They might just literally choke from laughter just hearing that, because I used to talk about Plans Inc. all the time. I even had like a little teddy bear that was my my physical representation of this successful dream that I had. The teddy bear was called Plans Incorporated. When I think about it now, it's just funny. But anyway, that was me back then. But it's so interesting because I started realizing why I thought this topic was important was just, the different perspective that we have on success and how and why specifically it is important to ensure that the definition that you have for success is aligned to what it really should be. So I'm going to be shedding some truth. I'm going to be giving you pointers, things to look out for, to test if where you are at or where you are headed for is really truly a successful point. Okay? So what I know now about successful living is very, very different. I know that, to be a success doesn't necessarily mean that you have all this, glitz and glam and flashing lights and all the things that I thought, had to be part and parcel of the equation called success. But to be a success, is something truly, truly deeper. It's something truly deeper. And the truth is that if it weren't, right, a lot of the people who have some of the things that I described, where, they have all this power, money, influence, and all of that, a lot of them would be truly happy. But we know in this world, and, we know that it's not the case. In fact, in some cases, you find that a lot of people that have all these things, they are even, almost worse off emotionally than the people that don't, because there's just something in a way that comes with all of that. And some may call it, more money, more problem. But I don't really generally jump on that bandwagon. I don't think money is a bad thing at all. I think money is great. It serves the world very well, and it has potential to do a lot of good if it is in the right hands. Will those hands be yours? If it is in the right hands, it does the world a lot of good. So I believe that money is good. So I'm not coming here to come and bash money and say, oh, you know what, anyone who has, can't be successful. No, what I'm trying to do, what I'm going to do rather on this is to just help you understand some things that helps make success true for you and those around you. So the difference, a mentor of mine, Fela Durute, always talks about something that I believe is so powerful. He shares often on the difference between effective and defective success. So effective success really is a success that is aligned to you and some of the principles I'm going to outline in a minute. And then defective success, the way I would explain it is like, climbing with all your energy up the top of a ladder, and then finding out that the ladder is actually positioned on the wrong wall. And I say this with every sense of seriousness, because some of you might have to think very, very, very deeply about, some scenarios that are currently true in your life, and ensure that, you take the relevant steps to realign yourself. You know how sad it is to climb with all of your energy and get to the top of the ladder of what you call, your success ladder, and only to find out that it's not even aligned. It's not even on the wrong wall. It's like writing an exam, putting in all your effort, and you realize that it doesn't actually count towards your overall score in the thing that you actually went to, school or were doing a training for, right? We want to make sure that every single part of our lives, every single second that we are spending in life counts to that overarching vision that we have for our lives and ourselves. Doing, when you know what effective success is by almost putting what you're doing against some of these principles that I'm going to share now. Asking yourself, does this hold true for this? Does this hold true for this? And if not, why? If not, what can I change such that what I am doing and what I am building my success around supposedly is aligned to what actually holds true for true success? So, number one, for success to actually be effective, where I'd like to start on this is that it must meet an objective. I know this one feels like it goes without saying, but trust me, it does. It happens more times than you would realize that, you're doing something and it doesn't feel like it has a real aim. It often feels iterative. It doesn't have any principles of replication. It just feels like every time that you're guessing, you're not quite sure what how the inputs and the outputs equate to each other. If you're like that, the truth is that it won't be sustained. Because the bigger thing on this is that for success to be effective, for what you're doing to actually have meaning, you want to make sure that it is sustained. So you must ensure that what you are doing has an overarching objective. Remember the example that I gave around writing an exam and finding out that it doesn't actually count to your final score. Ensure that you are thinking about what you're doing and asking yourself how it counts to your overall score, as it were. How it counts, while that objective around what you want to do in a wider sense is being met. The second thing is that for success to be effective, right, it must be based around your values. It must be based around your values. If what you're doing feels inherently wrong, again, it's not going to be sustained, and hence it won't be effective. And how I know about this is that, you know what, even armed robbers, people who go and do the most vile things and steal from others, lie, manipulate, blah, 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 a lot of times, a lot of the principles that these people are kind of hinged upon is this principle. What they do, if you ask them, it is aligned to their value. That is why you will find a very, very successful thief or a very, very successful drug dealer, because they believe that what they're doing, there's nothing wrong with them, right? Nothing wrong with what they're doing. So if what you are doing, you already feel that there's a misalignment, guess what? Your success can't be sustained, because you're doing it half-heartedly. You are not putting everything, you're not throwing yourself into it as you ought to. So you're not going to get the results that you need to get, or you should be getting out of it. You've got to make sure that what you believe are the things that you do. The things that you believe are evidenced by the things that you do. That is how you become successful, right? Truly, truly successful. The third one, right, for success to be effective is that success must feel earned. It must feel earned. And someone's going to say, but Tonbra, what about favor? I just wake up one day and somebody just gives me all that, I just walk into something and I didn't necessarily earn it. But let me tell you something, there is a moral or a mental calculation that will always happen in your mind around the things that you get, even those that you feel that, came quote and unquote via favor, came through means that you didn't necessarily feel that you contributed directly to it. And that maths is really around the fact that somewhere, somehow in your life, the principle of giving or sowing and receiving and all of that. Somewhere, even if not directly in that thing, related to that thing that you're doing, where you're seeing a harvest, somewhere, somehow there would have been a seed that was sown around. So when success feels empty, right? And this is one of the reasons why I said earlier, you find a lot of people who maybe have a lot, seemingly have a lot, and seemingly are successful, not even necessarily in material terms, are successful just by, either in a vocation or, the profession that they're doing, they feel successful. But if they don't feel like something somehow they have done, or somehow, some way, through something connected to them, has contributed to that success, you will feel there's a sense of unworthiness that will fall over you. There's a sense, for some, they will feel even almost shame, like I don't want to, I don't want this, because I don't really, really feel like I have earned this. So for success to be effective, for success to be sustained, you have to feel like you have earned it, either directly through hard work or somehow through, some way, somehow connected to you, it worked out for you. So you find people who, don't feel that way, not being able to own that success, and thus it makes it ineffective for them. Okay? The fourth one is that success must feel original. For success to be effective and true, it must feel original to you. You must be able to, take a deep breath and just feel like, wow, what I am doing, is connected to the core of who I am. I don't feel in competition with anybody else. I don't feel like I'm striving. I don't feel, like it's on my own terms. When you get success like this, it is beautiful. You're not looking over your shoulders constantly trying to benchmark what other people are doing. You're just in flow. You are doing your own thing, knowing that, this is it. I'm in my zone and I am not competing with any single person. Success is sweet when it is like that. It must feel like it is original to you. It must feel. The ones that love success, that love it the most, are those ones who are, successful through things that they do that align with their original design. And what does original design mean? When I say original design, I mean, your innate wiring. What are your natural giftings? What are the things that you have, certain proclivities towards your natural abilities? When you are doing something from that zone, it feels true. It feels like you are on top of your game, regardless of where you are in the scale. The scale is what you make it, essentially. You're not in comparison with anybody else, regardless of where you are, relative to others. You feel on top of your game and you are happy. The fifth one is that success must be self-sustaining, and this one is a really, really, really important one. And when I say self-sustaining, what do I mean? I mean that, it doesn't start and end with you. It must be able to perpetuate itself. When you have success like this, in a way, I feel like, these points that I'm making, it's almost on a graduating scale, because as it goes, this is what I'm giving you. This juice is, sweet success. Sweet success that, is democratized. Ooh. Success that doesn't necessarily start and end with you. Success that is abundant. Success that even when you are not there physically is perpetuated. That is success. So visions of examples of such successes, when you write, it's particularly in this digital age. In this digital age, you go and you do stuff and it impacts people, and people can go back to it. They can, continue to, get your content and all of that. It doesn't necessarily have to be you physically there. There's also the one where you have rallied a troop, where, you are not there necessarily in the physical sense, but you have built systems and structures, and you're able to scale your influence such that people are getting something regardless of whether or not you are there. It must be self-sustaining. So you've got to test against this as well. And the sixth and final point I'm going to make is that success must have meaning. It must have meaning. It must have meaning. It must have, impact, which is what I have, I alluded to in the point just before, my fifth point. It must impact people. This is the sweetest part of success, where people's lives are changed, regardless of whether or not there's money coming in. You feel fulfilled. You feel like, yes, I have done this, and this was the change that I made in the world. Your success must have meaning. It must stand for something. It must have true meaning. Right? And this is beyond every single other point that you've heard. For me, if this is where you start and you begin to flesh out success, what is the thing that I can do in my life that would have the most meaning for others, that would translate into, people being seeing life from a different perspective, seeing themselves from a different perspective, or just being able to do things differently as a result of my own contribution. If you can answer that question and lead from there, you will be doing the world a great service, and then success becomes a consequence. And this is where you want to get to. A lot of times, the story that I started with earlier, and I said, look, all I wanted to do as a child was just have this, mega organization, and, I didn't care. There was not once in my thinking that I thought about what this organization would be doing. I didn't care. For me, it wasn't relevant. As long as the organization was, had a certain kind of prestige, had a certain kind of bottom line, that was what was important to me. But my life now has completely turned on its head. And now is when I feel like I have finally really connected to what success means. Because now for me, it's all about, the 6th point, meaning. What is the thing that I can do? What are the things that I can do that can change lives? And that is where I start. That is where I operate from. That is the heart and the soul of every single thing you will see from me, from podcasts to, the content I put on Instagram, to books, everything that you submit, everything that you will see, it's all about meaning and impact. And when you get there, you are happy. I can tell you for a fact that I am happier than I have ever been in my life. Every single time I get a love note from someone saying, thank you, Tonbra, what you've done, or I listen to your podcast and it really, caused me to, think differently. People send me messages saying, Tonbra, your podcast changes lives. For me, there is nothing more successful than that as a reward. It makes me feel fulfilled. And someone's going to listen to this one and say, hey, Tonbra, all of these things that you're talking about, what about the money? At the end of the day, we can't just be talking success, no money. Let me tell you something, Money always goes where impact is produced. Money will always go where impact is produced. Money will always go where significance is embodied. If you will decide in your life that you are going to live a life of significance, a life that has meaning, a life that is sold out to impacting other people, money becomes a consequence. Money, the difference between what I know now and what I knew then was then I was thinking about the money, but now I'm thinking about the impact and things. So I'm living that success from my inside out rather than trying to get it from the outside in. Yeah, I know that this has been of tremendous value to you. I want to also share that my book, How to Be Unstoppable, 6 pillars for living unscathed and activating your higher self, is currently out. I got some feedback, yesterday since it's been out. I've been getting feedback, and I got one yesterday that was just amazing. Someone said to me, Tonbra, this book is every single thing I need. If I sat down with this book and I applied the principles, I know that my life will change. It's essentially a blueprint, a manual. So I want to encourage you. It's littered with principles like this, with examples, with facts and principles, and it's based with evidence, with facts and stories. I also share a bit of my story also in the book. So I want to encourage you to go and get it on Amazon, and if you click on the link at the bottom of this post, you'll be directed to it. All right, people, thank you so much for being on this podcast with me, and I will speak to you again next week. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me this week on Created for More, the podcast. Make sure you visit my website. I'm at Tonbra.com, where you can subscribe to the show either via iTunes or Spotify so that you never miss a show going forward. You can also follow me on social media. I'm at Tonbra.moswago. And if you love the show, please leave a rating on iTunes so that we can continue to bring you amazing episodes. Thanks for listening, and see you next week. Don't forget, you are created to be more, to do more, and have more. Bye for now.